If you're tired of the constant grind of creating new content all the time, only for it to be short-lived, die in the black vortex and never be able to find it again, or perhaps you have had a viral post and then it suddenly dies down and you're wondering what to do next. So today we're going to change how you might be thinking about content creation. So instead of chasing the constant viral posts, we're going to explore, how do you create a content strategy? How do you craft your content that can be found, that can be seen by lots of people, but also build connections, drives consistent traffic, and that continues to work for you months, even years after you've created it. So we're going to be doing a bit of kind of comparison between short form content, longer form content, and how you can actually create a content strategy that can benefit both things and know what's right for what part of your marketing strategy. So whether you're a coach, a course creator, or a service-based business, you're going to learn how to leverage both the quick wins of short-form content and building that endurance and longevity in your content as well, to really maximize the work that you're putting into your content, because I know you're putting a lot of time and effort into your content, and I want it to work smarter for you and bring more people to you and help it do more without you constantly worrying about burning yourself out. So make sure that you stay tuned, you join in this whole episode, get yourself a cuppa, get yourself comfy, and I would love for you to walk away after this episode feeling empowered, inspired, and have some actionable things that you can take away today and feel more confident in your content strategy to build your business. So welcome to this episode. Very excited to be diving into this. This is the topic that I have a constant kind of push-pull thing with it as well. And I'm sure you do too, because you know what it's like. There are constantly new trends, new latest and greatest tips and hacks and strategies and la 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 la. There's so much noise when it comes to what's the best platform to talk about. I did an episode on that recently. Like, what type of content should you do? How to get more views? How to get more engagement? And one of the things that I don't really see talked about much is about longevity. And the reason why I got inspired to do this episode today is because every month, right, I will pull together my marketing metrics and I will look at all the various different platforms that I have content, and I market my business and I generate leads and, promote my offers and stuff. And I look at what's working. I look at what's working for me. I mean, like, what platforms bring me actual hands raised, yes, I want to know more. It's not just about traffic and visibility, but also what actually generates leads and sales inside of my business. And so that's kind of what's inspired this topic today. So I'm going to share obviously some things that happen obviously inside of my business. Every single business is different, so yours might be the same, but I want to just open up this conversation more and have more people considering ways to make their content go further. And that really does come down to this kind of short form versus long form content, and also the platforms that can go with it, because there is a time and a place for both. But I want to make sure that you are equipped with the information that you need and food for thought, so you can make sure that you're making the best decision for you and for your business. And perhaps that there might be some gaps or opportunities for you to take content that you've already done and make it last a lot longer. So let's just kind of do some definitions, right? To begin with, short form content, I'm sure you probably know, but this is going to be your TikTok videos, your reels, the YouTube shorts, right? It's the short videos that are up to a minute to even 3 minutes long. Now, obviously TikTok they've now have been gearing more towards the longer length of videos, which is great, so kind of, I think it's up to 10 minutes now, and they may well even try things for longer. Obviously for the last few years, it's all been about those short videos, and lots of people will do these B-roll videos where it's just you mooching about in the background, or taking a sip of your cup of tea or whatever. It's like a 5-second video that loops and there's just text over it. They're great because they're minimal effort, but you know, it's not like somebody's going to be going, oh my God, where was that piece of content? I want to hunt it down. But that's not the only type of short form videos. Obviously, you have, you know, there's lots of different types of short form videos you can do. It can be talking to the camera like this. It can be behind the scenes. It can be tutorials like demos. It can be like you creating your product, like whatever it is. Okay, there's many things, but at the end of the day, it's about length. It's probably up to kind of 2-3 minutes long. Usually it's around kind of the minute. Okay, but it's those short form videos that we know and love, very consumable. You'll swipe, consume up, you know, you get sucked into the feed of all of these short little videos, and you've literally got seconds or even half a second to grab somebody's attention before they scroll and swipe you away. Then you've obviously got longer form content. Now, this is obviously going to be longer videos, it's going to be podcast episodes, and it can also be written content like blog posts that, you know, it's got a lot more depth to it. You can kind of dive into a topic a lot more, but it's kind of mostly it's your podcast, YouTube videos, and blog posts, right? It's those three kind of main things where you really get to dive into content in a longer form way. But it's not just about the length of topics, it's also searchability, which we will come on to a bit in a mo. Now, when it comes to the short form videos, I think historically things are changing, but for the most part, it has been very heavy on trends. It's trending audios. It's obviously back in the day when TikTok first came out, and obviously people kind of old, stayed away from TikTok because we just thought it was teenagers dancing, right? Then lockdown happened and all of a sudden everyone's bored out their minds, and so we downloaded the TikTok app. That's when I downloaded TikTok. I thought, let's just have a look and see what's going on. And I think over time you realize, and things have changed. I think a lot of people gave their opinion through lockdown, telling stories, seeing, you know, funny clips from comedians. I mean, there's everything on TikTok. But it was predominantly around trending audios. And then obviously Instagram, you know, a lot Meta, like they take something that's working really, really well and everyone's going mad for, and they make their own version. So then obviously Reels was born on Instagram and now on Facebook. YouTube then followed with YouTube Shorts, and I'm sure there'll be more. But it was all, and Instagram Reels, I think, is probably, they're behind, you know. I see Reels, again, a lot of the audio, the trending audios, whereas TikTok is now moving more into the original things. I know from my own behavior, and I actually very rarely see the trending audio videos on TikTok, and maybe it's just my algorithm based on my behavior, but I will definitely, most of the content that I see, it's people talking to the camera, it's stories. I love a bit of Am I the Asshole stories, you know, it's clips from shows, and there's like 10 parts to it and you end up watching the whole thing. But it's about, you know, about being entertained, educated, and it's people talking. It's original content versus the whole kind of trending audio. But a big part of short form videos has been about taking something that's trending and making your own version of it, right? That's been it in a nutshell. I say things are changing, which I'm glad about, because I think when it comes to content, we put so much time and effort into it. Even if it is just those easy B-roll videos, you're still putting time into it, you're still creating them, you're still writing the captions, you're trying to get a message across, even if it's got a trending audio or not, it doesn't matter. But the purpose of a short form video is really, it's more about getting eyeballs. I talked about this in, I think, 2 episodes ago, where I talked about the different marketing, you know, what are the different options that you can do, which is going to be best for your business. We talked about all of these different platforms, all these different formats, and I summarized the different types of content that you need inside of your marketing strategy, inside of thinking about how the intention of each post, like what does each post, what's its role? Okay, so short form videos and those kind of, you know, TikTok and Reels, for example, they are great for visibility. So I have a three-letter acronym. I say VIP. V for visibility, I for influence, and P for promotion. So you need to have a method that and a way that your content is going to be driving visibility, awareness, people discovering you, seeing, oh, there's this person called Jenny. Oh, she talks about like systems and automation and streamlining my business and stuff, and how to automate my marketing and, you know, make life easier, you know. So some people have to discover me. There's going to be obviously millions of people that have no clue who Jenny Stevens is and no clue who you are. So you need to have a way that your ideal customer or client needs to be able to discover you, because we don't just want, you know, Uncle Bob and, you know, Uncle Bob's mates finding you and going, oh, hi there. Like, we want people who are our ideal contacts, our ideal target market, right? People that we would love to be able to join our email list, buy our stuff, join our programs, work one-to-one with, you know, the score. So it's not about just views for the sake of views. And this is one of the problems about the viral bonanza, if you want to call it, you know, people just chasing a viral video. I personally don't chase that, because there's no point having 1 million views if it's not 1 million views of my ideal customers. I'd rather not have it, to be honest, because it's just going to be a waste of the engagement that potentially might come, and the wrong people being shown my content. I'd rather less but quality over more, and it's just the wrong people. But these types of content, they are great for bigger exposure. Okay, it's great for new people, because you can have a video that can, you know, everyone talks about being stuck in the 200 view trend, but I mean, that's still 200 people. That's a lot of people. If you had that amount of people in a room for you to share your wisdom with that day, but you know, you can have videos that can get 1,000 views, 5,000 views, 10,000 views. I literally created a video and it was only meant for my friends and family. You know, last weekend was a bank holiday weekend, and I borrowed my mum's jet washer, my power washer. Never used one before. She showed me how to use it. And at the back of our house, we've got kind of like an L-shaped house like this little section here. Obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see my hand movements, but you know, I've got an L shape at the back. Got the living room on one bit and the kitchen on the other, and both have double patio doors. So then it's a square. So anyway, when we bought the house, there's this concrete base, and it looks like either the builder who, you know, the guy who actually lives next door, built this house, or the owner after that was going to build a conservatory. So it's not a proper patio. We haven't been able to have the money yet to be able to patio it and do the kind of makeover that we want outside. So it's just a concrete base. And there was all these loose bits of gravel, which was super annoying. So anyway, I thought, right, finally, lived in this house for 4 years, borrowed my mum's jet washer, gave it a great blast. It completely transformed it. It's not perfect, but it'll do. It's a concrete base. It's not patio slabs. Completely different color. Went from like this dark gray to kind of like a beigey color. Did my front path as well. Looks great. So I made you know, just a little video of me before, a few little, you know, couple of seconds of me blasting and showing the difference, and afterwards put it on my personal Facebook profile. But because it's a reel, it was public. And I looked last night and there's been 10,500 views. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I need to be posting my business videos here, because if that's the kind of reach from my personal profile from the public, then wow. But you know, obviously it was just a video of me blasting my patio, my concrete base kind of thing, where our garden furniture is now back and looking better. Now, but yeah, I'll post a video on Instagram and it might be like 50 people see it, or 100 or 200. But the point is that there's 10,500 people that have seen this video, but it's got nothing, I say, it wasn't obviously meant for the public. I've actually now seen that I can change who it's shown to, because I had some people saying it still looks crap, you should do this, you should do that. I'm like, it's better than what it is, I don't care, like whatever. So I've turned it to just be friends only. So I can't remember what my point was about that, but it was about, you know, making sure that your video is going to the right people. It's making sure that the content that you're sharing is being shown to the right people. I always had a friend of mine, and this was probably a year ago, maybe more, probably more than that actually, maybe 2 years ago now. And she did her very first video on TikTok, and she did a funny video with her sons, completely and she's in business as well, you know, completely unrelated to anything business related, and it went viral. She had something like 1.2 million views. She suddenly had thousands of followers, and this is nothing against her. Like, she's an amazing marketer, an amazing business person, but all of a sudden it was teaching about TikTok, and not necessarily her but teaching, but she was being asked about, you know, like how she grew her following and stuff. And I just thought, well, but those 1.2 million people, they're not the best followers. Like, why? Yeah, she may have had one video with all those views, and she may have had, I don't know how many thousand followers she had straight away, but they're not going to be probably guaranteed the majority of those people, probably 99% of those people, are not running a business. They are not in her world and wouldn't be kind of ideal clients of hers, kind of thing. So, you know, this is a thing to just think about. Why do you want to go viral? And yes, more traffic is great, and, you know, we want more eyeballs, but really think about, is it targeted? Is it the right people seeing it? But anyway, in kind of what I was saying is that you need to have a platform that is going to give you more visibility, and short form content is great for that. Now, to kind of just help out with that, if you are creating kind of just random general videos that aren't related to what you do in your business, then either create a personal one for that and kind of do that. But there's no point in creating videos that's just with a trending dance or a trending audio, but you're not relating it to you and your business and targeting it to your ideal customer and how it can help them, because you're going to be wasting your time, and actually you're going to damage your profile and your engagement, because you're either going to have a load of people following you or watching your video because they find it funny or they just happen to come across it. But if you want people to actually convert into either becoming a lead and joining your email list, or then obviously eventually buying from you, and becoming a customer or a client, then you need to be more intentional with your content and with the actual how you're doing it and what you're talking about and the way that you're doing it. Now, the good thing with short form videos is they are easier to make. Like I say, you can literally kind of crank out probably 10 videos really easily, especially if you do a mixture of kind of some behind the scenes things. The B-roll videos are great for those kind of lazy days. And you can still, you know, give a great message with those, but you don't want to have all of your content being all of that, if that's all that you do. You need to stand out. People need to kind of remember you and go, oh yeah, like if you think back to the last few videos of ones where it's just someone in the background not talking, do you remember their name? Do you know anything about them? Like, all you saw was a bit of a 5-second video. Could have been them, and it could have just been the tree outside. You know, there's a lot of faceless videos now roaming. Everyone's doing these faceless videos and stuff. And I think that's, again, they could be great and you can use them in your business, but I wouldn't necessarily build a whole entire brand. If you are running a business that it's a service business, obviously if you're a coach and you're the brand kind of thing, then you need to show you. But you really want to, you know, embrace, if you're those kind of B-roll videos, the faceless ones, they're great if you're just getting started, but you then want to challenge yourself, push yourself, you know, do talking ones. Recently, Instagram has just talked about that they are going to be favoring more original content. So this is the time to really find your voice. Talk about something that you are passionate about, that you know that you could talk about. If ever you're feeling in a content funk, then talk about stuff that you are passionate about, that you can easily just babble off about. That's exactly what I've done with this episode and the previous one. Obviously, I just recently brought back this brand new series after a long break of doing this brilliant new business show. And I thought the best way for me to get going again, get back into my routine, get back into my structure, find my voice again, bring back my confidence, is to talk about stuff that I know and that I can talk about freely. I've got some bullet points there for me, but I'm kind of just going with it because that's how I do it. That's how I do it best, personally. Okay, so then we have the longer form and longer living content. Now, this is, like I say, this is the stuff that is more in depth. It's more detailed. You can really dive deeper into the topic. Yes, I can give you 3 tips of how you can batch create your content. But if I really want to go into it more, then I can create a longer form piece of content. So as I mentioned, this can be podcast episodes, it can be YouTube videos, it can be blog posts. All 3 of these are great for long form content. And the reason that they're great is not only can you dive into things better, you can perhaps change the way that people are thinking, reframe common beliefs, challenge certain beliefs. You can really dive into sharing your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, and show people that you know your shit, and give some great content that people can take away and really change their business, change their life, whatever it is. It can come from that. But here's the thing, here's the other thing, and here's the reason why I love long form content, is because of the longevity. So the other great thing with, blogs, YouTube videos, podcasts, etc., is that you can obviously fill them with keywords. You can make them searchable. So if things are obviously searchable, these are, not only is it people are actively searching for certain things in Google, like how can I get help creating content more efficiently, or how can I automate my lead generation, or how can I jet wash my patio as a beginner. People make millions of searches every single day. So with the longer form content, or any kind of content, but certain platforms as well, as necessarily, it's not even just about the length of the content itself, but it means you've got the SEO benefits. And if you don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization. So all of those words that people are searching for, if you've got those words and those terms inside your titles of your content, inside your tags that you can add inside of there. If you have got images, you can add what's called alt tags inside of that. There's lots of different places that you can add keyword that's going to help your content be higher up in the ranking, right? That's how it works. The other great thing is that if you're creating these content, then you can also utilize other platforms to keep it going, right? So let me give you an example. And this is why, again, this is, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is kind of what prompted me to talk about this today, is because every single month I pull my marketing metrics and I have content everywhere. I've got content on YouTube. I have content on TikTok. I've got my podcast now. I've got content. I've got loads and loads of blogs. I think I've got over 100 blog posts. I've obviously got all the social media content. But the place that consistently is up there with where do I get the most traffic? Meaning, what platforms, where do people find me the most? And that is from Pinterest. So with every single blog post that I do, I create like 5 to 10 pins, basically different graphics with the title of my blog post. I do different styles. I try out different headlines sometimes, and then I link it obviously to that blog post, and then I schedule them out to kind of be dripped out over the course of weeks to my Pinterest profile. Now, Pinterest is a search engine. It's not a social media platform. It is a search engine. So again, people go to Pinterest and they search for terms, but also it comes up in Google, the same as YouTube videos do. If you search for stuff, you'll notice that towards the top, there'll be like the top 5 videos related to that topic. So Pinterest can help drive traffic to, it doesn't have to be just blog posts. You can link YouTube videos there as well, but people will click somewhere. So I will take so obviously when I create these episodes, I record it as a video. I also then I extract, once I've edited out any crap and any fluff and any mistakes or whatnot, I then extract the audio. I add my podcast intro and then I add it to my podcast. platform. The video goes on YouTube, and then I create a summary version. Sometimes I create a full written version, but again, for me to be more efficient and streamlined, I'll create a summarized version of the blog with timestamps, and I embed the video, I embed the podcast. I've got the written one. So people that don't like watching videos, the people that don't like listening to podcasts, the people who like reading, they can again get the value there too. So it's like, it's a big whammy. And I do this on purpose because, I mean, I've been blogging for 9 years, not all the time, not consistently necessarily, but I've been blogging, you know, I always will create blog posts because of the longevity of it. Now, as I was saying, Pinterest is one of my top traffic sources for organic, meaning free marketing. I don't put any money behind it. Unless I'm doing some paid advertising, which I use Facebook for, then that will overtake. But when I'm not, you know, just from the free organic methods, Pinterest is up there. Now, let me tell you, right? I get people from Pinterest coming to my website, coming to read blogs from blog posts that I wrote years ago. And I will get leads from that blog post probably every month. And it might only be 1, maybe 2 leads a month, but this is from content that I wrote probably 7, maybe 8 years ago. It's not even the best content. I've updated it because it's kind of, I transitioned, you know, my business is completely different now than what it was 7, 8 years ago. I've got a completely different audience. I offer different services. So, but that blog post was originally written with my old audience. So I've kind of rewritten it so that it's more generic. So it's not specifically for that previous target audience that I used to create a lot of content for. I didn't want to just get rid of it because it is, at the end of the day, it's free traffic. And some of those people will, you know, they will really like seeing my other content. But every single month, I get a lot of visitors to a couple of blog posts that I wrote years ago. And they come from Pinterest because pins are shared. They'll come up more, people will search for things, and it's found. And this is why I love longer form content, because it lives longer. I could create 3 reels today. I'll probably create a couple of reels while I've got my hair and makeup done, but they're gone, you know. They barely last. You barely get anything after a few days. They don't last long, and it's hard to find them again. Like probably TikTok, obviously TikTok you can search for, so you might get a bit more longer living with TikTok videos because it has got the search feature. And I think more and more people are utilizing TikTok to search for things. But again, it can be difficult to find it. And you know what it's like with platforms like TikTok or Instagram, it might be there on your phone, and then you might, like, I don't know, get a notification and come back and it's gone. And you can't find it again. You don't know who it was. And it's so annoying sometimes. And that's one of the problems, is it's not only is it short-lived, but it's bloody hard to find again. You could literally be within seconds of a split second of somebody watching your content or not, just because they either their phone went to sleep, their phone rang, suddenly their cat was sick on the floor, you know, like whatever, and it's gone. Whereas with content that is searchable and people are actively searching for, one, that's a very different intention. People, and I like utilizing search content because they are going, I want to learn, I want to find information about this, I want to learn about this. So they are in a consuming, searchable, researching mode, if you like, versus I'm bored, it's a Thursday night. Like for me, my husband goes to bed so early every night. He goes to bed at like 8:30. So I have, because he, you know, he gets up early. We're complete opposites. Like I go to bed at sort of 11, 12 o'clock. He goes to bed at 8:30. So I end up having like 3 hours where I'm watching telly. You know, I'm obviously catching up on the things that I want to watch, which is quite nice. But also I will then get into the scroll on TikTok. Normally it's towards the end, and that's when it's the difference between going to bed at 10:30 and going to bed at midnight. Totally been guilty of that like 2 or 3 times this week. But you know, you've got that I'm bored, or I'm just consuming, I'm just in that scroll mode trying to kill time. So not only does the longer form content serve the purpose of being able to be searchable, you can fill it with searchable keywords and tags and assets and things that can help it to be found. That means it can live longer. But also then you've got the chance to be able to give that call to action. Like, what do you want people to do next? Give them, it might be a free lead magnet, resource that you've created and get people onto your email list. You can obviously talk about your offers that you have. In every single episode of this Brilliant New Business Show, I have a resources section at the bottom, because as I talk freely, I'll mention different resources, either of mine, or I'll mention tools that I use and I recommend. I'll mention books or, whatever. And obviously then I want to tell people about either things that I've forgotten to, or tell people about other resources and offers. It might be my template bundles, it might be coaching, it might be done for you services, whatever. But I want to make sure that if people are interested in this topic, they've got things that can help them further, to get more help in that area. Because if they have consumed an entire, 40 to 60-minute episode, whether it's a podcast or on YouTube, or they're reading this long blog post, if they're obviously reading the whole thing, or they're listening or watching the whole thing, they're interested, and that's my goal. So I hope that you're finding this interesting, and we will, we'll be talking more about this more as we go. So it's got the intention, it's got more scope for you to be able to make an offer, whether it's a free one or a paid one, because you can scatter it throughout your content. I'll probably talk about things 2 or 3 times throughout. It's not just going to be at the end. You can scatter that through, which is going to increase the likelihood of somebody either joining your email list and downloading your freebie, the likelihood of somebody watching your free masterclass, or booking a call with you, or inquiring about your service. Fill in the blank, right? And that's really, again, what we want content to do. We want content to educate people, inspire, change the way they're thinking, but also then give them next steps of what to do and take them to the next part of the journey with how we can then work with them, right? So really what it comes down to, you don't have to do one or the other. Some people will be more drawn to one or the other. Like, for example, people that are maybe more introverted, perhaps people who are a bit camera shy, they might be drawn to doing blogging or podcast episodes, for example. I probably would do podcasts on their own, but I know, and this kind of is going to lead me into my next point, but I'm going to utilize this episode. I'm going to create clips from this episode. I'm going to maximize this time that I am spending. I've curled my hair today, I put some makeup on. I very rarely do that, but I'm going to maximize the time and effort that's gone into creating this and every piece of content that I create, because I don't want to be working constantly. I don't want to be constantly creating brand new content every single day and exhausting myself and thinking, God, what the hell am I going to, keep talking about? What I talk about today? This is how you do it. So let's talk about this. So the reason why, not only from the things that I've already talked about and listed with why I like longer form content, because of its longevity and the searchability, but then it means what I can then do with it. If you want to be able to really maximize, like I say, the effort that you are putting into creating the content, you're coming up with the ideas, you're creating the titles, you're thinking about the hook and the opening statement, you're editing it, you're adding the text, you're finding the hashtags, you're posting it, you're scheduling it out, whatever, all takes time, effort, energy, brain power. I would love for you to be able to, like, half the amount of times you have to do that, or less or more, whatever the right more than half how much you're having to do it, right? And that comes by creating more of an ecosystem with your content, by making your content work harder, by taking pieces of your longer form content and turning it into other smaller pieces that can be consumed. And so this is where you create more of a cohesive content strategy. This is where you make you work smart, not hard. We hear it all the time. So spends the time planning out your content. I will structure my content in a certain way, and I don't always get it right. Sometimes I forget to do certain things, but my content can be split into sections. So this episode alone, I could break into smaller but still longish, clips if I wanted to, just on one little piece that I've talked about. I can obviously just take a little, excerpt that's a minute long from it. You see it from podcast episodes all the time. They'll show a little clip, especially if it's an interview. The Diary of the CEO is great at this. They leave lots of cliffhangers. They'll just cut it off just so you can't get like a really great insight into what someone shared. But you can do this with your episode, and then you still can maximize short form content and the short form videos in particular by then taking pieces from the work that you've already done. And there are tools that you can do this automatically. I talked about a couple of them in the last episode, so make sure you go check that out as well. I'll also put together some of the tools that I use and put that in the resources section of the show notes for this episode as well. But there's an AI tool, for example, that can take your video, can automatically create the clips for you based on, it obviously will assess your video, it will crawl the transcript, I guess, if you like, and it actually creates video clips varying from 15, 30 seconds up to 3 minutes if you want to, and it has the captions and all the things that you need with templates. It's fab. So I don't have to really do a lot, apart from sometimes I might just have to tweak it ever so slightly if it's not doesn't quite make sense. But the time it would take me to manually edit all these, if I was to create 20 clips from this episode, or even 10, that would take me hours. Whereas you can use tools to do it automatically, and then there might just be some tweaks to make that then is going to drastically cut down your time. But it's not just about videos. Again, not everybody loves videos. You might not like doing videos. You might love creating podcast episodes where you're sat. Some people I know, they literally record them in their, like American people, they'll record it in their closet or the coat cupboard. I just do mine in my office. I am going to be buying some of those like acoustic wall panels because I want to redecorate. I'm sick of grey. Typical millennial, when grey was everything. Now I don't want grey anymore. So I'm going to paint this wall behind me. If you can't, obviously, if you're listening to this on the podcast, and you haven't seen my office, I have a grey wall behind me. The rest of the walls are white, and I want to ditch the grey. The rest of it will stay, but I want to paint it a different colour. And I'm going to put some of those lovely, modern, sleek wood panels on just to break it up, but also they're good soundproofing. But anyway, so you might love to just be there, no makeup. You haven't got to worry about what you look like. You can just record your podcast. You can just share your thoughts, share your wisdom, share your insights and whatnot, and happy days. Or you might be a writer. You might just love and just get consumed in writing, and you could easily crank out some blog posts. Whatever your jam is, it doesn't matter. However you create this content, and I call this kind of content lead content. It's that core thing that you are going to commit to doing, whether it's once a week, every other week, it might be monthly. I mean, ideally you want something every week or 2 weeks at the max. I used to do this show weekly, but then with all the repurposing, I kind of overdid it a bit. And then I made some pivots in my business. And so then I decided to make it every other week. And then I sort of stopped it for a while, and then now we've picked up on this latest series where I'm doing it every other week. Because I want to maximize the most out of it, I'd rather do less on the frequency, but be able to get more assets and more pieces from it and make that go further. So that's kind of why I do it. Obviously, once I've got, if I've got people, like I'm going to be hiring a marketing assistant soon, what if that's going well, and then I can hire more people kind of thing, then I might be able to go back to doing it weekly. But at the moment, with my capacity, that's just not possible. So every other week is fine, and that's enough for me. But as I mentioned, whatever kind of way you're doing it, if it's video, if it's audio, if it's written, even if it's images, you can then create other assets from that. So as I mentioned, I take this video. It starts off as a video. I've got a proper mic, so I've got good sound quality. I edit the video. I try and do as minimal editing as possible, but just to cut out fluff, any mistakes, if I'm coughing, if suddenly my husband walks in, like he did, he obviously came home from work, so there might be some noise from him. Normally he comes into my office, so I made sure that the door was shut so he knows that I'm busy, and hopefully he can hear me, the fact that I'm talking, and just try and condense it so it's as kind of concise as possible. And then I will extract the audio, which is literally a click of a button, and I can take the audio file from it and I can then upload it to my, I add on my little intro that I've got for my show, and then I upload it to my podcast hosting software. So that's with like literally, very minimal effort, I've already doubled my content. And with podcast, the reason why I started the podcast is because I know that people tend to consume longer content on podcasts than potentially they do on videos. More people will probably listen to this whole episode on the podcast than they will from YouTube, because of just the nature of it. You can have it while you're driving. I listen to podcasts when I'm driving, mostly. Sometimes if I'm cleaning, or like I was listening to a podcast when I was mowing the lawn. Actually, I was listening to a podcast when I was jet washing my patio. So you can kind of consume it, or if you're out for a walk, whatever you like to do. And that was from very little work. Then as I mentioned, we can take clips and I can create video clips, or it could be you could create audio clips. Again, if you're not doing the video point, and you can just have a graphic and you can have these little snippets, and obviously then you can promote the full episode. Or they might be standalone great little snippets that you can then have and share them to social media. You can create carousel images from little, great little nuggets from your episodes and things that you've created from your blog post. You can create a little excerpt, quotes that you've said. Again, you can turn into a quote that you can share. There is so much that you can do when it comes to repurposing. And this is why I love it so much. And this is why I take the time to spend more time creating quality content that I can dive into deeper, I can share more with, because I can make probably at least 16, 20 pieces of content just from this episode. And I'm all about doing less. And I think especially when you're on your own, like right now I am on my own, I'm a solopreneur, so I'm having to do everything. So this is why I maximize automation that I talked about in the last episode. This is why I maximize AI. This is why I utilize tools to do a lot of the heavy lifting for me, without me having to spend so much when I do outsource or feeling like I have to, if I'm not ready for it. And it means I can actually then have more people see my message. I want more people to be able to learn something from me and hopefully help people, inspire them, empower them, and give them little action they can take away and try it out and go, oh my God, yeah, that was great. I can go and use this myself. That's my goal. That's why I do it. So you build this ecosystem where all of these little assets that you've created, they all have their own intentions. Some of it might be just to get visibility. So these little video clips that you can create from parts of your longer content, that can be shared to TikTok, to Instagram Reels, to Facebook Reels. With a quick, click of a button, you can have it actually go out to all 3 or 4, if it's YouTube Shorts as well, literally with a click of a button, and that can help you get more exposure. And then if you want to, you can obviously promote the full episode in the caption or whatever, or you might just give a straight call to action for anything else, like, hey, if you want to get more help with this particular topic, I've got a free resource for you that you might find helpful, for example. Then there might be little parts of your episode where, like I obviously shared a few stories here, this might be something that you could turn into an email, send it to your email list. It could be a little video clip again, that is going to be great more for nurturing your existing audience to help share a bit more about you. Maybe people that have already discovered you, you can do that as well. And then you also might have a point where it's more, again, you could have a clip and then you can do a little promotion, or you might be talking about an offer in the actual clip that can also act as a promotion. So again, you can cover the 3 different main sort of traffic goals: visibility, influence, and promote, all with that one piece of content that you've created. It's just about extracting, slicing, dicing, splintering, people call it different things, but turning it into these other pieces of content that all work in this bigger ecosystem that helps support each other. You create this kind of holistic content strategy that just maximizes the audience engagement and visibility across different platforms, and that suits different people. Because this isn't just about, obviously, you will have your preferred method of how you like to create content. You might be more like, I'm really comfortable doing videos, and I've been doing it for a long time. So obviously my earlier videos, you know, back in 2014, 2015, weren't that great. They were okay. Now I've obviously learned a lot about structure and strategies and different ways to, you know, create engagement, getting people to take action and things in my videos. So I've been doing it for a long time. But as I mentioned, if you might not be a video person, you might be a writer, you might be a podcast person, you'll have your preference. You might love short form video, but you can then create this ecosystem. They all work together and they can help support each other. And the person on the other end will also have their preferred method. They might be a video consumist. They might love scrolling through TikTok or Reels. They might binge watch your content. So think about, how might you be able to create binge-worthy content? You know, creating a series is a great way. That's kind of my next little thing to do on TikTok, is to create a little series so that it actually encourages people to come back and consume more and sort of some of that binge-worthy stuff. If you are a writer and you're creating blog posts, make sure that you are linking to other blog posts that you have written so that people can then consume more of your content and learn more from you. Your podcast episodes, you can again reference other episodes that you've done. I've done that in this one. I've mentioned a couple of different episodes that I've created, and people might, hopefully you might go back and go and look, you know, look at the last one that I did. It was all about automation. You might go and look back ones from that I created last year, a couple of years ago. You know, you might suddenly scroll through and look at what other topics have I talked about now that you've seen what I'm about, like, and what you kind of get from me. Recommend you do. I've covered a lot of different things. So it's just about, you get to take your message and maximize it with different formats for you and the consumer. Again, you'll have people that prefer reading, you'll have people that prefer listening, you'll have people that prefer watching. So by creating this ecosystem that you can pick out these different pieces from this one lead or hero piece of content that you've created once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever, you're now making that stretch and stretch and stretch. And that means you're actually going to get more visibility on it, because if you can cater to those different modalities that people consume content, now rather than only creating videos, and basically that only accounts for people who like watching videos, now you're tripling or quadrupling the amount of people that can now consume your content, your message, and get to discover you, and hopefully, you know, fall in love with you and want to follow you and consume all your content and buy from you, right? That's what we want. So it does so much. And this is basically what I teach, you know, inside of my program, the Leverage Marketing System. I teach how we put together this whole ecosystem, not just about content, but it's building the automation, it's building the email list and the lead magnet and all this different stuff. And so basically, like, I've got an 8-piece entire kind of marketing framework, if you like, that covers all of these different pieces, that takes people from stranger. It incorporates, actually, like I've talked about, the lead content and repurposing. That's just 2 pieces out of the 8, with how you create this big ecosystem for you that basically does the marketing and sales, and you can create this consistent selling machine, if you like, based on creating content and different things that covers these different points, ensuring that you're covering all of it rather than just focusing on, I just want to go viral and I want to get all these visitors and viewers on this video. But if you've got nothing else, if you've got no other system to do the rest of the work that comes with marketing and sales, then it's not pointless, but you're basically going to be leaving a lot of money on the table. You're going to be missing a lot of opportunities, and you're wasting that opportunity of going viral. So this is kind of what I teach, and I have a whole free masterclass on this where I basically share all the 8 steps, how it works, and how you can bring your preferred method, how you can find your perfect match with whatever way you like to create content, how you want, what's obviously right for your individual business. Because again, different business models are going to have different ways of doing things. You might like absolutely need to do like a discovery call with somebody to make sure you're a fit. Other things, it might be, no, they can just go and click and buy, or you might want to have a webinar or a challenge. Like there's different things that you might want to put in place to actually have the sales happen. And so I basically share the whole thing in the free masterclass. So I'll put a link to that in the resources section. You can go through that. I share it a lot and you get a lot from it, and you'll walk away from that with a basically mapped out marketing whole system planned out, because I give you a free resource in that that you can go and walk away. So it's a very actionable masterclass. It's not just me talking at you. Hopefully you really get to take a lot from it, and you get to walk away with a like, yeah, I've got my new plan. It's redefined. I know exactly what I'm doing. And so you basically will walk away with that from that masterclass. So I highly recommend you go through it. It's absolutely worth I think it's just over an hour for you to go through that, because it will really set you up again for the longevity of your business, because you get to tweak it, you get to refine it, you get to optimize it, and you can scale with it. And so this is the framework that you can use even if things change, even if your business completely changes, even if you change direction, you have a new audience, you change your offers, there's another platform that's come out, it doesn't matter. It's about the strategy and the foundations that make up, all the rest is just tactics and it's fluff. But the actual foundation and the strategy of what makes up where you post, the types of things that you do, is really what matters. So if you haven't kind of got that foundational framework and you want a proven framework, I highly recommend that you go and learn what my leverage marketing system framework is all about. Okay. We've talked a lot about it, so I'd love to kind of curious to know. So do make sure you come and connect with me. I want you to send me a DM on Instagram. My handle is @JennyStevensCoaching. Come over and message me on Instagram. And I want you to tell me what was your biggest takeaway from this episode. But also, I would love for you to tell me what is your preferred method. I've also got I've got a free resource that I can also give you that can help you to see what types of content and what types of marketing. It's like a mini version of my whole leverage marketing system framework. But I basically give you, if you're an introvert, if you're a social bunny, if you're an analytical type, if you're a creative, I basically give you some kind of examples of what your marketing system might look like based on your personality. So that's called the marketing match. So I'll put that inside the resources section as well. So you've got a couple of different options based on where you're at, like what you want to have a look at, giving it there for you. So the beauty of this is not only does this marketing strategy and having this framework and way of creating content, whether it's short form, long form, not only does it help you create a lot more content from work you've done once very easily, but also it helps you be more intentional rather than just creating this random post and you put it up, and there'll be times when that comes up, you get inspired and you just want to share something. That's kind of what I use my Instagram stories for, is for those random ramblings. I'll just share if I'm like, oh, look, I just found this, I'll share it in there. But it helps you be more intentional. So when you're planning your content, actually, rather than thinking, oh my God, I've got to create 30 brand new pieces of content, actually, I only need to create 2 big, like for me, because I do this every other week, I create 2 kind of big meaty pieces of content that are these episodes a month. And then I will be able to create, I mean, like automatic pieces, or with like very few steps, I can probably create another 5 to maybe 10 pieces. I mean, I can create video clips very easily. I've still got to write the captions. If I want to, I can create a carousel. So obviously that will be a little bit of design work. But even that, even my carousels, I have simplified. I now will just take my kind of outline that I have for me when I'm like recording these episodes, and I'll just turn it into a written Facebook post, for example, and then I take screenshots in sections. That's my new way of doing carousels in a really, really easy and simple way without me spending an hour designing anything pretty in Canva. So again, there's lots of easy ways. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. I see people creating carousels or a post from their notes app. It's a screenshot. There's lots of different, like really simple ways that you can repurpose. And again, I've talked about repurposing a lot in other episodes. I can do a whole other episode just on repurposing, but hopefully this just gives you some inspiration and ideas. So it helps you be more intentional when you're planning it. You can, like the way that I create my smart marketing system, that's basically kind of part of this process, is how you basically take that one piece of content, and then you can plan out whether it's your month or your week. And I can easily see what's kind of brand new content that I have to create, what's an easy repurpose, and what's some kind of evergreen automatic content that goes out without me having to do anything, that again kind of recycles through old posts and things as well. So I have that. So it helps you to be able to see in a plan what you actually need to create versus feeling overwhelmed, think, oh my God, I've got all these different things to create. How am I going to fit this in? When actually you go, oh, actually, it's 2 episodes. It might be a couple of written posts that you maybe share a personal story and then the rest might be just creating these easy little clips and creating some captions that you can even just, use over several of them if you want to. So it can be as easy or as complex as you make it. And some of that does just come with a bit of a learning curve. I've definitely had my own learning curve. I overdid it in the early days. That's when I kind of got a bit burnt out and I was like, this is too much. I actually don't have much time to work with many actual clients each month because I'm spending too much time creating all of these different assets. So this is where I've really utilized AI tools, automation, and taken things off the table. I've got my kind of core must-haves, and then other things can then just kind of be a bonus. So you've got to find your own flow and find your own way of doing things and find your method. But if you can at least kind of create your sort of shell of easy content that helps you get your messaging and your message and your thoughts, your expertise out to more people, then this is a great way of doing it. So whether your team short form content, whether your team long form, I encourage you to look at how can you like maximize both. If you've been on the short form kind of content train, you're thinking, well, can I reverse engineer this? Can I go the other way? Yes, absolutely. Go back and look at some of your best performing short form videos, especially if it's kind of talking where you've been talking to the camera. Perhaps you've had a lot of engagement, people have been asking questions, or people have been asking more. Can you talk more about this? Take that and go and create, either you can, recreate it as a longer form video, or you can literally take the topic and do a blog post. So then you're not having to necessarily spend loads and loads of time on it. Or even you could create like a little series and you could sort of have a few different videos that are linked inside a blog post. There's some different ways that you could do it, but you can absolutely turn a short form video into a long form piece of content by diving deeper into that topic. So that's another great way that you can do it both ways as well. You might test out a topic with a little short video, and if it goes, people go, oh, I love this topic, can you do more of it? Then that's a sign, oh, actually this might be a great one for me to create a meatier, could be a podcast episode, a YouTube video, whatever, and create that on. So there's so much potential. Again, this is a massive topic. I could create a whole series just on this topic, which maybe that can be my TikTok series that I do. So we've talked a lot, okay? I hope that you're not sitting there feeling like I've just shot, a hose pipe at you. So to kind of help you just, I always want people to take actionable things away and take some steps away. Start just by going back through and looking at your content and seeing what's performed well. So that might give you some signs about what you might either dive deeper on, if it's being kind of, could have been written Facebook posts, could have been reels or TikTok videos, could have been carousels, or could have been the opposite way. If you've done longer form content, how can you take, if you've got YouTube videos, if you've got blog posts, if you've got podcast episodes, go and create two assets from it. Could be a clip, could be a snippet, and then you can obviously schedule that out. Then I want you to think about, what is that preferred method for you? I want you to be clear on what do you find easier, more natural for you? If I said, right, I want you to go and create 4 long form pieces of content, what would you naturally feel like, yeah, I could do that? Video is definitely mine, because of, I know that once I start talking, I just kind of get into the flow. I also love writing too. I can get into a flow of writing. But I choose video because I maximize it, and I've been doing this for a long time. But say, what is yours? I want you to be clear on what yours is, and then I want you to make a little plan for it. And obviously then, if you want to dive deeper into this, if you want to see more about how this works, with a more visual way as well, obviously if you're listening to this on the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's kind of just me talking, then you can definitely go and check out my masterclass, because I share the framework. You get all the steps, you can see it, and you see how you take the 3 different secrets of how you build up this ecosystem that's perfect for you, with the framework, and creating this great kind of selling system that all works together as this ecosystem. And definitely go and check out my free masterclass. There'll be a link to it in the show notes, in the resources section, so you can go and check that out. And yeah, I would just love to share with me what your biggest takeaways were from this episode, any big ahas or things you perhaps hadn't thought about, or any tips and you're thinking, yep, I'm going to do that, and pick just one thing that you're going to do, just one thing, even if that's what you're going to do, and let me know what that is. I love to hear from you, and make sure that you're subscribed, you're following along, so you get future episodes come your way. So anyway, I hope you found this useful. Content can be overwhelming, can be daunting, but the more you can kind of simplify things, create a system and a structure and a framework for you, and make it go further, then hopefully that will just help alleviate some of that pressure that we can feel to constantly be creating new all the time. It can get a bit much if you let it. So hopefully this just gives you a bit of an insight into how you can make it more strategic, more intentional, and work smarter. And that's what you want, so you can spend more time doing other things rather than just creating content all the time, which can be sometimes what it feels like, right? So anyway, thank you so much for sticking around. If you've got this far, I appreciate you. I hope you found it useful and you can take some things away from it, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye.